Good morning, everybody. Today is the day after the election, and Trump won and Hillary lost. What are you gonna do? So I figure, I myself personally didn't. I purposely didn't form an emotional attachment to this election, but. I was surprised. I thought that she was going to win because that's what the polls said. Going into election day, Hillary was ahead in all of the battleground states, right? I thought she was going to win. I guess not. But anyway, so I figure, we got our new President Trump coming in a few months, and I figure I should make a prediction video. So this is what I predict. These are my predictions for the Trump presidency. Number one. He starts another war. He's either going to start another war in another country, or he's going to get us boots on the ground involved in Syria. One of those things is going to happen, right? And the reason why I say this is because every time we have a Republican president, there's another war. All right, it happened in Bush 1, it happened in Bush 2. It almost happened in Reagan. Okay, so it's like it's a Republican tradition. Right. some shit's going to happen, and he's going to start a war somewhere. Number two, you can kiss Obamacare goodbye. I mean, because, the Republicans also took the Senate and the House. So, yeah, they're going to pass something. They're going to repeal it, and it's going to be horrible. It's going to be brutal, right? Because I don't trust them to actually replace it with something sensible. So, it'll be nice that you won't get the fine anymore and you won't be required to buy healthcare. But, I think it's going to go back to just the way it was where, the health insurance can just refuse, based on pre-existing conditions and kick you off when you're sick and that kind of thing. They're going to go for market solutions is what they'll call it. And the market solution is going to be to go back to the way it was, which was shitty, which was worse than it is now. And you're going to see 30 million people who had healthcare are going to lose it. And if that doesn't, we'll be lucky if that doesn't lead to a complete, collapse of the healthcare system, right? That's what's going to happen. So, get ready. Start saving your money, folks. Taxes are going down for rich people, and they're going to go up for poor people. So, Trump and his friends are going to make a boatload of money, while, you and me are going to get stuck with the bill. That's what happens when Republicans become president. I don't know if you remember during the Bush years, everybody got a check for $300, and it was like, oh wow, I got my Bush check, right? In the meantime, people like Paris Hilton were walking away with millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay, rich people out there, all the rich people made a boatload, right? And that's what happens when Republicans govern. When they try to govern, they cut taxes. It fucks everything up, and as also the result of that is that spending is going to go out of control like crazy. So you might be saying, well, it's already out of control. No, it isn't. It's if you look, the deficit has actually been reduced by 75% during the Obama administration, right? Kiss that goodbye too. It's going to shoot way up, and we're going to be $20 trillion in debt before long, right? Because Republicans don't give a shit about spending unless Democrats do it. So now you're not going to see. Here's a benefit. A good thing is that the debt ceiling. There will be no more fights over the debt ceiling. There will be no more complaining about. There will be no more talk of fiscally responsible bullshit. Right. The only time you'll hear anything about government being fiscally responsible is when, it comes to things like Social Security and benefits, and the social safety net. They'll cut all of that shit. Right. But it won't actually reduce spending. Just watch what happens. That's when you'll hear the complaint. That's when you hear the argument going, we need to be fiscally responsible, so we have to cut food stamps, right? In the meantime, they're going to be building stealth fighters and shit that they don't even need. And the deficit is just going to increase, and the debt is just going to increase, and so that's what'll happen. Let's see. He'll get a judge in the Supreme Court. It'll be somebody fucked up like Alito or Thomas or something. It's inevitable. They're going to fill the Supreme Court with somebody. It's especially if they have both houses of Congress, the Democrats won't be able to stop them. That's fucking fucking ridiculous. Let's see. I think we'll see a kind of mini scandal every week or so, you know. Something really ridiculous is going to happen pretty much on a weekly basis, you know, where President Trump will either insult somebody or fuck something up or not understand like a fundamental like function of government. You know, something like that is going to happen where he's going to embarrass himself, you know, pretty much on a weekly basis. So as a result of that, late night TV is going to be hilarious for the next 4 years. You know, Saturday Night Live is going to be hilarious. You know, Alec Baldwin is probably going to become like a mainstay there. The Daily Show is going to be funny again. All right, that's just what's going to happen because President Trump, you know, if going by his campaign, he basically couldn't go 3 or 4 days without making a complete ass of himself. So why is he going to stop now that he's the president, right? That's what's going to happen. He's going to fuck something up, you know, every week. Every week you're going to see it somehow, somewhere. You know, you expect to be laughing a lot at him. Okay. The same kind of thing sort of happened to Bush, but not as bad. So imagine Bush-isms, you know, where he was saying shit like, can man and fish coexist in peace? Imagine that kind of thing multiplied by like, I don't know, fivefold. That's what I predict is going to happen, you know. And by the end of 4 years, you know, President Trump is going to be a laughing stock. That's my prediction. I think he will not really accomplish much of his actual agenda. Specifically, the border wall. That's not going to happen. There may be increased spending along the border, you know, and they might like symbolically build some portion of a wall. I mean, the thing is, there's already barriers there. There's already walls there, you know, in some places. So they might build a little bit of it, but, you know, this 4,000-mile long, 40-foot border wall thing with attack dogs and, like, fucking barbed wire and machine gun nests and shit, that's not going to happen, all right? And I really don't think that the number of illegal immigration, you know, the instances of illegal immigration, it's not going to reduce any significantly, not very much. And really, he won't be able to increase deportation very much either. The reason for that being is that because there are laws on the books right now about how you have to handle someone when they get deported, you know. They get a trial, right? There's a process that they have to go through. And right now, so there's something like 1 million people at any given time in that process, and the courts are filled to the max, right? So they're not going to be able to speed it up. And I don't think that Trump is going to have armies of brown shirts running around kidnapping people from their houses and throwing them on train cars and taking them south of the border. That's not going to happen either. So basically, that entire campaign promise was bullshit because it's impossible. So, of course, I think that they will use, you know, racism and shit against illegal immigration and particular, you know, Latinos, right, and Mexicans and stuff. I think they will use that a lot to try to get a lot of their agenda passed. But as far as actually deporting 12 million people, it's simply not possible. Let's see what else. I don't think that he's going to do much to dismantle the EPA, even though he's claimed that's something that he wants to do. That's not going to happen. I highly, highly doubt that he will dismantle the EPA. Basically, for the reason that a lot of industries kind of work around those regulations. You know, the EPA is the reason why we have electric cars now, for example. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't think that. Yeah, there may be some weakening of significant weakening of certain regulations. You know, clean air and clean waters, that kind of thing. Right? We might see that happening, but as far as like just removing it completely, probably not. You know. I think that would get a lot of backlash there, and I don't even think like even Republicans would go that far. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But that's my prediction. I don't think he's going to do much for the inner cities either. You know, because there's not much a president can do to affect policing in the inner cities. You know, that was another campaign promise he said. He's like, black people are living through hell and all that stuff. You know, and he's like, I'll make the inner cities safe. No, he won't. Okay? He can't. What's he going to do? Like put federal troops inside no, there's nothing he can do about that. maybe increase funding to police departments, but I don't even know how much federal funding of police departments even factors into it. So like, let's say a place like Detroit or Chicago that the Republicans are always, using as a poster child of like a dangerous ass city. What's he going to do to actually change that? Nothing. There's nothing that he really can do, right? That promise was bullshit too. So that's not happening, right? What else? Also, a lot of the traditional Republican social issues I don't think are really going to change, like abortion. I don't think he'll outlaw abortion. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. And the reason why is because during the Bush years, when the Republicans were in charge of everything, they didn't try to outlaw abortion then either. They know it's a hot button issue. They know that, they basically aren't going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I'd be really surprised if they did, There may be some symbolic thing, like we're going to outlaw partial birth abortion or some shit like that, right? They'll outlaw some things that, like, nobody does anyway, but like as far as like outlawing actual abortion or banning the day after pill, I doubt it. I don't know. I would be surprised, Let's see. Mainly the reason also is because I think he was bullshitting with his abortion stance to get the evangelical vote. I really think that he just kind of really, personally doesn't give a shit about abortion, and in fact understands, right, from, seeing how he's like a serial philanderer, I can see how he would want there to be legal abortion in case, like, one of his mistresses accidentally, like, if he accidentally knocked up one of his mistresses, he would want there to be abortion. So I highly doubt that he would actually outlaw it, right? So that's how conservatives think. You got to remember that. Conservatives only believe things when it happens to them personally. And seeing how Trump, we've basically got this outline of him, like he basically tries to fuck everything that moves, right? It's highly, highly likely to me that at one point or another he had a mistress or a girlfriend and that person got an abortion, right? To like not screw up one of his marriages or something. That seems like, to me, either it happened to him or to somebody he knows. And it seems to me that that's something that's affected him personally, and I highly doubt that he would outlaw abortion because of that. Anyway, let's see. I don't think that they will outlaw gay marriage. I think they might try, but I think that ship has sailed, and it's already been the law of the land for a number of years now. And to do so would just cause major chaos, Basically, because there are millions and millions of gay people who have gotten married since, gay marriage has become legalized nationwide. And to try to reverse that is sort of like trying to make black people sit in the back of the bus again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's harder to take away rights from people than it is to obtain them. So trying to reverse gay marriage would be kind of like trying to like reverse the women's right to vote, you know what I mean, or that kind of thing. Or so I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that it'll happen at all. I also don't think that they will ban gay people in the military either. Like, I think, if that happens, it's going to just be a major shitstorm, and they're more likely to focus on things like cutting taxes and fucking up the social safety net rather than these social issues. Because that's another thing, is that, Republicans use social issues like this to get elected, but once they actually get in power, they very rarely ever actually do anything to change these things. So that's just kind of the pattern. If you look at the Reagan and the Bush 1 and the Bush 2 administrations, that's what they do. Okay. And even during Clinton and Obama, Republicans, they use these issues as fear issues. But when they get in, they never try to actually propose any legislation to change the shit. So, what else? I do think that they will try to reverse marijuana legalization. I do think that. Because right now, see, people don't understand this, okay? Right now, marijuana is legal in Colorado and Washington, and now California, which is where I live, which is awesome. I might go get stoned, after this. The reason why it's legal now in these states is because the Obama DEA chose to not persecute it, right? Because the Republicans, when these things came up, took it to the courts, and Obama's, DEA basically said, okay, we're not going to enforce this law, because federal law supersedes state law, all right? And it's still illegal federally. It's still a schedule, whatever drug, I forget if it's like a schedule 2 or 1 or something. Like, basically, it's still considered a very dangerous and addictive drug, at the federal level. And, if you remember right, back in the day when they first started legalizing, medical marijuana, that kind of thing, there were federal raids on these dispensaries, right? And people were going to prison and shit like that. That was during, the early years, right? And it was basically Obama telling the DEA to stop doing that, which has allowed legalization to pass. And, I think that that's going to get reversed. I think that's on the Republican agenda, mainly because police, the police and the private prisons industry is like a big funder to them, right? And so that's my prediction. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's going to start happening. I think you're going to start seeing raids on marijuana dispensaries and things like that again in states where it's legal. And you're going to see court battles, right? And ultimately, the states are going to lose because the Constitution says that federal law supersedes them. And I think that when the bill comes across President Trump's desk to legalize it, he's not going to sign it. That's what I think. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll never get that far. Hopefully, he'll either, the next election will come before it hits that point, and we'll have an opportunity to vote his ass out. But I don't know. Let's see. I don't think Trump will be impeached for anything. I highly doubt that as well. Some people are saying that, there's hope because there's his Trump University thing, and he might get impeached before he even takes office. That's not going to happen. Okay, it's highly, highly unlikely. I mean, we couldn't even impeach Bush for, George W. Bush for starting a fucking war on false pretenses, right? Where hundreds of thousands of people have been killed, right? We couldn't do that. I highly doubt that we'll be able to impeach Trump, no matter how much Congress hates his ass. I don't think so. I don't think also that Hillary Clinton will be imprisoned for anything. No, that's not going to happen. That was bullshit too, just to rile up his base. The main reason being is because you have to actually be guilty of a crime before you can be arrested and imprisoned, and there just isn't enough evidence to actually put her away for anything, whether you think she did it or not. If you think she did it, then she's done a good job of covering up the evidence, because there's not enough. I mean, the day before the election, the FBI guys, what's his name, Comey or whatever, said that, we recommend not to indict. She's not getting indicted, so just keep that in mind. I do think that, that Trump is going to get caught in a scandal at some point involving a shitload of money, right? Because I think he's too fucking greedy to not abuse his position as the president to enrich himself. If I had to guess, it would be him trying to squirrel away leftover campaign contributions into his own personal accounts, right? That's what I would say. If he, that's what I think. But at some point, this is my prediction, at some point he's going to get caught in a major scandal, trying to rip off people somehow, right? That's what'll happen. He'll do some kind of pay to play thing, which some kind of trade deal which directly benefits him, bribery, some shit like that. But I think it's going to be campaign contributions, so we'll see what happens, And my last prediction here is that at the end of 4 years, all the kids out there with the stupid frog memes and everything who supported him are going to hate his guts, right? That's what I think is going to happen, The same thing happened to Bush, and it'll happen to Trump too. By the time he leaves office, everyone is going to hate him. All those people that voted for him, all those people that supported him and shitposted, praised Keck, all that shit, they're going to hate his fucking guts, right? That's what happens. You know why? Because he's going to be an incredibly bad president, the same way that George W. Bush was, right? I don't know if you guys remember, but when Bush came into office, everybody loved him too. By the time he left, he was the worst president ever. I think we're going to have a new candidate for that title. So just, but for the rest of us, everybody out there, just stay cool. Stay cool and relax, Don't let this ruin your day. I mean, it's fucking shit happens, right? And what you can do is you can organize for whatever cause you believe in and, stay vigilant, right? And just take this as a learning experience as to why, look at the reasons why we lost, which I think have to do with the left not being unified. That's what I think. I think the left was just too, we couldn't get everybody behind Hillary in order to win. All the Bernie people just wouldn't get behind her. And I think if they would have, we probably would have won, but whatever. That's a subject for a different video. But, just remember that it's not the end of the world, right? And for all you kids out there who are young, who are of college age, who don't remember the Bush years very well or were too young to actually understand what was going on and that kind of thing, you're about to see it firsthand. You're about to see firsthand what happens when Republicans try to govern and how they just can't do it. You're going to see that Republicans just have an inability to effectively govern, and you're going to see the effects that their policies have on people. And just remember the last time that we had a Republican president, what happened. Because in 2000, there was no war. Okay, there was no war, right? The economy was looking good. The banks were not on the verge of collapsing, right? All of this shit happened during the Bush years, right? As a result of very, very bad policy decisions made by Republicans, right? The last 8 years, Obama has been dogged by, left, right, obstructionism and people not saying that he's an actual citizen and this and that, right? And now you're going to see, but we've managed to crawl out of that hole a little bit. The economy's actually looking pretty good. We've got a really good job report, stuff like that. We've managed to scale back the war a little bit. We're not actively involved in as much, that kind of thing. We've managed to prevent major terrorist attacks, stuff like that. America is in a much better position than we were in 2008, right? Whether from any sensible measure, we're a lot better off than we were. And you're about to see what happens when when Republicans get in charge. And it's just going to fuck everything up. Just watch what happens, folks. I don't know. Anyway, adios.